I'm 104 years old, and the most dangerous thing you will ever put in your body is not a poison, not a drug, not a cigarette. It is the food sitting in your pantry right now that your government has approved, your doctor has never questioned, and that your children are eating every single day. I want to talk to you about food, not diet culture, not fads, not the latest thing someone read in a magazine. I want to talk to you about what food actually does inside a human body, at the cellular level, across decades, because that is the only timeline that tells the truth. Most people think about food in terms of calories. How much energy does it give me? How much will it add to my waistline? And that thinking, right there, is what keeps people sick. Because a calorie is the most shallow way to understand food that has ever been invented. The calorie tells you about combustion. It tells you nothing about inflammation. It tells you nothing about what happens to your gut lining, your hormones, your brain, your liver, your immune system, over 30, 40, 50 years of eating the same things every single day. The first thing I never ate, and I mean never, not once in 100 years, is anything that was designed to last forever on a shelf. Ultra-processed food. And I don't mean processed the way an olive is processed into oil, or the way milk is processed into cheese. I mean the category of food that was engineered in a laboratory, assembled from fractions of real ingredients, and then stabilized with chemicals so it can sit in a warehouse for 2 years, and still look edible. That food is not food. It is a chemical delivery system wearing the costume of food. And here is what most people miss about ultra-processed food. It is not primarily dangerous because of what it contains. It is dangerous because of what it destroys. When you eat something that has had its fibers stripped out, its natural fats replaced with industrial seed oils, its sugars concentrated and isolated, you are not just eating emptiness. You are actively dismantling the biological machinery that keeps you alive. The gut microbiome, the community of trillions of organisms that live inside you and regulate everything from your mood to your immune response to your risk of cancer. That microbiome needs real food to survive. It needs fiber. It needs diversity. It needs complexity. Give it a steady diet of ultra-processed food and you're not just failing to feed it. You are killing it. But it goes even deeper than that. The gut is not just a digestive organ. The gut is where approximately 70% of your immune system lives. The gut is where 90% of your serotonin, your primary mood-regulating neurotransmitter, is produced. The gut communicates directly with your brain through a pathway called the vagus nerve. So when you destroy your gut microbiome through decades of ultra-processed food, you're not just creating digestive problems. You're dysregulating your immune system, you're destabilizing your mental health, and you're severing a communication line between your gut and your brain that science is only beginning to understand. Every packaged processed snacks, every artificially flavored drink, every food product that contains an ingredient you cannot find in a kitchen, it is taking a toll that compounds silently over years. There's something else hiding inside ultra-processed food that almost nobody talks about, and that is the question of satiety. Real food satisfies you. It contains the fiber, the protein, the fat, the micronutrients that trigger the hormones, leptin, cholecystokinin, peptide, YY, that signal your brain to stop eating. Ultra-processed food is specifically engineered to bypass those signals. It is designed to hit the bliss point, the precise combination of salt, sugar, and fat that keeps you eating past fullness, past satisfaction, past every biological signal that should have told you to stop. Food scientists call this hyperpalatability, and it is not an accident. It is a feature. The food industry discovered decades ago that if they could override your body's natural satiety mechanisms, they could sell you more product. What this means for your health over a lifetime is that ultra-processed food trains your brain to ignore the body's own wisdom. It rewires your relationship with hunger itself. The second category I never touched is industrial seed oils. This one people argue with me about. They say, but these oils are plant-based. They say, but my doctor said to replace saturated fat. And I understand why they are confused, because for 50 years, they were told these oils were heart-healthy, and that advice was based on deeply flawed science, funded by the very industries that profited from it. The truth about industrial seed oils, canola, soybean, corn, cottonseed, sunflower in its refined form, is that these oils did not exist in the human food supply until the 20th century. The human body never evolved to process them in large quantities. They're extraordinarily high in omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are chemically unstable. They oxidize easily, they go rancid, they form toxic byproducts when heated. And when you eat them, those oxidized fats get incorporated into your cell membranes and into your LDL particles, and that is where the real danger begins. The real power of understanding oxidized fats is understanding inflammation. Chronic, low-grade inflammation is not a side effect of disease. Chronic inflammation is the mechanism of disease. Heart disease is an inflammatory process. Alzheimer's is increasingly understood as an inflammatory process. Cancer thrives in inflammatory environments. Type 2 diabetes is driven by inflammatory signaling, and one of the most consistent drivers of chronic inflammation in the modern human body is a diet high in oxidized omega-6 fatty acids from industrial seed oils, the same oils used to fry every piece of fast food on Earth, the same oils found in almost every packaged food in the grocery store, the same oils your grandmother would not have recognized as food because they require industrial chemical processing to produce. Now connect to a deeper principle here. Every chronic disease that is destroying the modern world, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, dementia, autoimmune disorders, none of these existed at the rates they do now when people ate real food. These are modern diseases, diseases of industrial civilization, diseases of a food system that stopped feeding people and started manufacturing products, and the connection between what we eat and these diseases is not correlation. It is causation, running through every biological pathway: inflammatory, hormonal, microbial, metabolic. The third thing I never ate is refined sugar, and not for the reasons most people think. Yes, sugar raises blood glucose. Yes, it contributes to obesity, to dental decay, to metabolic syndrome. But the deeper truth about refined sugar, the truth that is hidden beneath those surface-level facts, is what sugar does to the aging process itself. Sugar, when consumed in excess, undergoes a process called glycation. Glycation is when sugar molecules attach to proteins and fats in your body and form compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, and the name is not a coincidence. These compounds accelerate aging at the cellular level. They stiffen your arteries. They damage the proteins in your lens, causing cataracts. They cross-link collagen in your skin, causing premature wrinkling. They attack the blood vessels in your kidneys, your eyes, your nerves. Diabetes is, in many ways, a disease of accelerated glycation, and every person eating high amounts of refined sugar is running that same process, just more slowly. But here is what most people miss about sugar. The danger is not just in the obvious sources. It is not just in candy bars and sodas. Refined sugar hides in bread and pasta sauce, in salad dressing, in yogurt, in protein bars, and things labeled as healthy. The food industry knows that sugar is addictive. It activates the same dopamine pathways in the brain as certain drugs, and so they have put it in everything. Not because it makes the food healthier, because it makes you want more, because addiction is a business model. Go deeper still. Refined sugar suppresses the immune system. Studies have shown that consuming large amounts of sugar temporarily impairs the ability of white blood cells to destroy pathogens. It disrupts the balance of gut bacteria, feeding harmful strains while starving beneficial ones. It drives insulin resistance, which is not just a diabetes problem. Insulin resistance affects every cell in your body, impairs your brain's ability to use glucose efficiently, and is now being called type 3 diabetes in the context of Alzheimer's research. The thing people think of as a sweet indulgence is, across a lifetime, a slow and systematic attack on every major biological system in the body. And there is one more dimension to refined sugar that science is only recently beginning to document, and it has to do with your mitochondria. Your mitochondria are the tiny structures inside every cell that produce energy. They are the power plants of the body. In chronic high sugar intake, the kind that drives persistent insulin resistance and elevated blood glucose, damages mitochondrial function. Damaged mitochondria produce less energy and more reactive oxygen species, which are the unstable molecules that damage DNA, accelerate cellular aging, and create the conditions in which cancer cells can survive and multiply. When you understand that sugar damages mitochondria, you understand that sugar is not just a metabolic problem, or a dental problem, or even a cardiovascular problem. It is a cellular energy problem, and a body whose cells cannot generate energy efficiently is a body that ages faster, recovers slower, and loses the war against disease with far less resistance. And now the practical power of all of this, because knowledge without application is just entertainment. What does this actually mean for how you eat, starting today? It means you have to learn to read labels not for calories, but for ingredients. If the ingredient list contains words you do not recognize, words you could not find in a garden or farm or butcher shop, you're not looking at food, you're looking at a product. Put it back. It means cooking your own food from real ingredients is not a luxury or a hobby. It is one of the most important health interventions available to any human being. Because when you cook your own food, you control what goes into your body. You eliminate the hidden seed oils, the hidden sugars, the hidden preservatives. You are, in the most literal sense, taking your health into your own hands. It means eating food that your great-great-grandmother would have recognized. Meat, fish, eggs, vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, olive oil, butter. These are foods that the human body has had thousands of years to learn to process. The human body has had 0 years to adapt to a diet built on chemicals invented in the last century. It means understanding that what you eat every day is not a small decision. It is the most repeated decision of your life. You will eat approximately 80,000 meals in your lifetime. Each one of those meals is either feeding your cells or damaging them, either reducing your inflammatory load or increasing it, either supporting your microbiome or degrading it. The cumulative effect of those choices is your health, your cognitive function, your energy, your disease risk, your lifespan. No single meal makes or breaks you, but 10,000 meals of ultra-processed food, industrial seed oils and refined sugar, those will. The body is extraordinarily resilient. It can tolerate a great deal of insult and continue to function. But it is keeping score, and it will present the bill, sometimes at 50, sometimes at 60. Sometimes the bill arrives as a heart attack or cancer diagnosis, or a mind that begins to slip away before the body is ready to follow. I have watched people around me pay that bill my entire life, and I have watched them shake their heads and say they did not know. They did not understand. Nobody told them. I am telling you now. Not because food is everything, but because for most people in the modern world, food is the most consequential variable they have direct control over. You cannot always control your stress, your genetics, your environment, but 3 times a day, every day of your life, you make a choice. And that choice, made consistently over decades, is one of the most powerful forces shaping what your body becomes. Eat what grows, eat what lived, eat what your great-grandmother would have cooked, and refuse, quietly, consistently, without drama, the rest. That is not a diet. That is a decision about who you want to be at the end of a very long life.